Hi there. My name is Denise Hurd, and welcome back to another episode of How They See Us. How They See Us is a time where I have the opportunity to talk to people who work in an array of sectors to kind of talk about how they are seen in the work that they do. And so, if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad that you have joined us. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm glad you came back. I'm so glad to see you. So it's August and it's Black Business Month. And so this month is very important to me because I am a Black business owner. And so I cannot take away the fact that when people see me, yes, they know I'm a business owner, but really the first thing they see is that I'm a Black and that I'm a woman. And so I want to have a conversation about that, like what it means to be a Black business owner, how being a Black business owner has impacted or changed our lives. But I didn't want to have this conversation by myself. I thought it was really important to bring someone into this conversation and someone that I have a lot of respect for because I've seen her journey. I've witnessed her journey. I've been cheering her on from behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, around the corner. And so, Chesia Torrence of the Silver Center, it is so nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today. You're on mute. So, technology.
Thanks for having me, Denise. I'm
You're
happy to be here.
I'm so glad that you are here. So, we're just going to have a conversation. I have some questions that I want to ask you about, and you can answer those. And then, any pearls of wisdom or knowledge that you would like to share, I would love to hear that from you as well. But this is just really a wonderful conversation for us to have. And I'm like I said, I'm just so glad that you could join us.
I'm
So,
excited.
thank you. So, one of the first questions that I want to ask you is, first of all, tell us a little bit about your business and why you created the Silver Center.
So, I have been an event designer slash planner for 25 years.
Mm.
Um, and I don't know where that came from. I'll tell a short story how I got started, though. I was working at
Please.
Eli Lilly. I was an administrative assistant, and spent a lot of my time at my job doing weddings and events on the side. Uh, at work. So I ended up getting fired from there. When she pulled me in the room to fire me, she also paid for my first year from first semester at Ivy Tech. And she was like, you spend all your time doing parties. That's what you need to do. And I'm like, you can't get a degree and planning a party. I'm crying because I got to go tell my grandparents I got fired from Eli Lilly. She's like, no, you can. It's called event management. So I had absolutely no idea. Um,
Wow.
and so I got to go home and tell them, hey, I lost my job, but I gained this. This is what I learned, and this is what I want to do, and this is it. So I went to school, and I kept doing my events on the side, of course. What I learned is event venues have a ton of rules, and I got sick of abiding by those rules, and I said, I need my own venue.
Right.
The Silver Center was born in 2012. The main goal of the Silver Center was I hate Chuck E. Cheese. I think us as Black people can do a little better than Chuck E. Cheese. And then, I wanted to show my community that you can have those very nice events without having to, A, spend $1 million, and
Mm-hmm.
B, go downtown, so they
Mm-hmm.
think it doesn't exist if you're not going to the Indiana Roof Ballroom or something. And so that was the
Mm-hmm.
goal of the Silver Center. And so here, this is year 11, next year will be year 12. And so I'm still here by the grace of God, I'll tell you that.
I know that's
And
congratulations. Because the fact that
thank
you
you.
made it 10 years is pretty, that says a lot because most
Yes,
businesses
ma'am.
don't last that long. So you
Yes,
are
ma'am.
a unicorn. I mean, you truly are. Truly are.
Thank you. It
So
has not been easy.
I know it hasn't.
Mm.
So let me ask you, since you talk about it hasn't been easy, what are some of the challenges that you've faced as a business owner?
Um, well, from all different aspects, it's been challenging. So, just to be completely transparent,
Please.
here at this here at this building, this facility, it's owned by Indian Arabic people, excuse me, which we all know they don't really have a big respect for women nor Black people. So
Hmm.
we fall out quite a bit. when we have over the past, I've been over at this facility for 7 years. So this has been the biggest stressor, is dealing with the people who own the building that
Mhm.
don't have a lot of respect for who I am.
Mhm.
Um, I also have to fight, for black businesses. We have to fight a lot more for our credibility. Um,
Mhm.
a lot of us think white is right, and so when they're ready to spend good money, they immediately think of all things downtown, which is the opposite reason why I even opened the Silver Center in the first place. So
Mhm.
combating that perception,
Mhm.
and combating, trying to ensure that you're credible enough and trustworthy enough
Mhm.
to handle those types of events has been a challenge.
Mhm.
And then our people are a challenge. Getting them in the mindset of, especially in my industry. Some industries are a little easier than others.
Mhm.
In our industry, I'm in a luxury industry, so anytime life happens to anyone, the party is the first thing to go. So I
Mhm.
hear all kinds of excuses that come across my desk why they need to cancel. They can't wrap their mind around the cost of things, which some of it's out of my control.
Mhm.
If you
Mhm.
if you want
Mhm.
$1,200 worth of balloons, you got to pay $1,200. I mean, I don't know what they. It's going to be $1,200 here, or if you go downtown, if you see a white person or a black person, but it's our community's perception that those things aren't important or those things aren't valuable, and so that's a fight in itself as well.
Mhm. You said something really interesting that made me kind of, when I thought about your landlord, you would think that
Hmm.
your landlord would be one of your closest allies and even a
Correct.
very close advocate because you're paying them rent. Like you're
Correct.
paying, a lot of times our brand does their brand, gives their brand credibility. The mere fact
Correct.
that you have your building or your location inside of their building, number one, that space that is now
Yeah.
leased, that they don't have to
Yeah.
find a tenant for, and you have a lot
Correct.
of space. And so I like to talk about when those that should be allies turn to be, almost turn out to be, antagonists in
Hmm.
our business owner journey. And how do you overcome that? How do you surmount that?
Prayer,
Yeah.
uh, Crown Royal, uh, and stronger allies like Miss Denise. I mean, you
Oh,
have to have people on your team.
mhm,
Yeah, you got to have the right people in place and the right people to call
mhm,
on many different things at any amount of time. I'll give you another example.
please.
Um, it's almost as if I had to fight so many different things. They really didn't want me to
Mhm,
open here. I remember I had to go to court 4 times um, because they kept saying that this building was in a floodplain and it can't be zoned for an event center because it would hold too many people. And I'm like, that's insane. It used to
mhm,
be LSAires that had
mhm,
tons of people. And
mhm,
if it was in a floodplain then and it didn't
mhm,
matter, it can be in a floodplain now and
mhm,
it does it. Like, those things, it was
mhm,
it was even all the way down to the liquor license.
mhm,
And I sat there and I watched all kind of asinine stuff be passed. And as soon as it was my turn, everybody wants to get up and say something. Oh, well, she can't do this and she can't do that. And I'm like, my good.
mhm,
Like,
mhm.
everything is a constant battle.
Mhm. Have you found that in your industry with your business, you've had to be overly educated, or you've had to over educate yourself in order to get done or negotiate your contracts or whatever? I know
Yes.
I have. Like I've had to really look and watch and observe, like my white counterparts and how they do things and
Yeah.
just keep that information close to the vest. So then when it was my turn up to bat, when a prospective client tried to tell me why they couldn't do something or why I couldn't have it a certain way, I had to utilize my colleagues as examples. Have you run into that also?
I have. I have. And for that very reason, I'm friends. I won't even say friends. I'm associates with other people who work at other venues in the
Mhm.
city,
Yeah,
larger, like
yeah.
your Crane Bays and your 502, other big places. And if I
Mhm.
ever get stumped or I feel like I'm not handling something appropriately, I ask them,
Right. Mhm.
which is an eye opener in itself. Because if I ask them, hey, I have this situation with this
Mhm.
client or with this
Mhm.
company, how do you guys handle that? And promise you, their answer typically is, I'm not sure. We don't have that problem.
Mm,
And they don't have that problem because
yes, right,
uh,
right,
I'm dealing with us and
right,
they're dealing with them.
right,
So they don't have that problem with them. It's just us.
right.
So yeah, I've learned that quite a bit. And I just have to learn, your back, I forget what they call it, but your most important allies is your entire back of the house. And that's your attorney and
Mhm,
your accountant and your,
mhm,
so yeah, I rely on all of them quite a bit.
yeah. And yeah, because I have found that like my white colleagues have been actually some of them are extraordinarily helpful in helping
Yeah.
me surmount some obstacles that I've encountered where I've been able to bring it to them and ask them, and I remember at one point where, we were very concerned about some contracting issues that were happening, and I was at a standstill and I didn't know who to turn to.
Hmm.
And so I did turn to some of my peers and laid it out for them. Of course, you have to be transparent when you're asking for help. So I was extremely
Yes.
transparent and I was overwhelmed with the volume of support that I received. And so I think that we as
Yep.
business owners need to remember that we have to reach across all races and across
Yeah.
all sectors to get the help that we need. We can't pigeonhole ourselves, just because we're a black owned business. We have to talk to people regardless
Yep.
of race.
We
So
do.
yeah, very, very important.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just I just think it's interesting about how we had a whole department store in a floodplain, and then you're trying to put an event center, and they're telling you you can't do it.
Yep. I went through that for 4 months, I think.
Do you let me ask you something. Do you think that what have you had to do to elevate your brand and the quality of your service? Because sometimes when people think it's us, then they make an assumption that the service won't be, you know
Yeah.
equitable or won't be at
Yep.
par. What have you
Yeah.
had to do to elevate your brand so you can
Hmm.
give those assurances in a nonverbal way? Because
So two things I've done is I still take a lot of classes. I go to a lot of conventions. I
Mhm,
stay surrounded by other people in my industry.
mhm,
I'm forever a student. So I always learn, what I can when I can. And that's a big deal, and I'm transparent about that. So I often make content out of me going to class, learning how to do this, that, and everything.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so they see that.
mhm.
Um, Something else I've had to do is learn to charge my worth. And in
Oh,
art, yeah, and on our industry, um, they want it's a lot of quantity over quality. They just want what's cheapest, or
mhm,
they want a hookup, or they want a discount, or
mhm, mhm,
and then sometimes the opposite. Even though they want those things,
mhm,
if they offer this for $100 and somebody else offers this for $50, they're just going to
mhm.
choose the $50.
Right.
Um, but I'm not afraid. I was afraid like the first couple of years that people weren't going to receive me and
Mhm,
I wasn't charging my worth, and it hurt in the end. And so
mhm,
now I've learned the power of no.
mhm, mhm.
And I charge like Charlene says, the price is the
It
price.
is. It is.
And
Yeah.
and I just try to stand on the value of that price. So if
Mhm,
you pay this, this is why you're paying this, and this is what
mhm,
you're going to get,
mhm,
versus other people that are in the same industry that charge less, and they're charging less because they're not using the same product, they're
mhm,
not using the same quality of things. They may not be as educated or had as many classes, or they may not. I mean, there's a lot of different things, but I charge what I'm supposed to charge, and that's just that has helped. That has helped my brand be what it is. I
mhm.
have a slogan. The Silver Center has a slogan that says, "Our events are built, not bought." And so I
Oh,
do everything authentically.
uh-huh.
Yeah, I create a lot of things. I have a lot of things made out of authentic,
Mhm,
products. I'm not getting ready to go across the street at Party City and design your party. You could do that.
mhm.
So
Right,
I just that yeah, yeah.
right.
I have to do it. I have to do the design. What did my teacher say when I went to this last class? There's a huge difference between design and decor, and I don't do decor. So if they
Mhm.
want decor, I'm not their person.
Interesting. Interesting. You said 2
Hmm.
things, that really stood out to me. One of that is that continuous education, that continuous learning.
Yes.
I think I
Yeah.
can't stress that enough. I really appreciate you saying that because I think sometimes we as Black business owners, we don't focus on that continuing
Mhm.
education and how that can help us with our businesses. We
Mhm.
just kind of jump in
Yeah.
and we just do the business, but forget
Yeah.
that, everyone else is moving forward with respect to um, adding on additional skills, scaling their businesses, evolving their businesses, building their businesses, and we seem to fly, like this. And so,
Yeah.
and I remember even when Herd Strategy started, one of the first things I did was fulfill a lifelong dream, and that was to get my MBA because I knew with an MBA I could charge more because of the knowledge. And so it was two and a half
Yeah.
years of struggle, but that was almost 10 years ago. So it's done.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
that's important. So thank you for saying that because we should never
Mhm.
stop investing in ourselves as Black business owners and getting our education so that we can
Yes.
be competitive with our peers and with our counterparts. So
Yeah.
thank you.
And everything evolves. Everything changes. And you can't
Right.
just stay one way. You won't grow.
No, you won't.
So, yeah.
And I think the other thing that you said is charging your worth. I think
Mhm.
sometimes and you're right about the friends and family hookup, that doesn't exist. That doesn't, now we have pricing structures, like we charge,
Mhm.
for services, of course, you charge certain rates, but we don't
Yes.
do friends and family because, I mean, would you go to
Mm.
McDonald's and ask for a discount on your quarter pounder with cheese?
And
Would
they
you do
will.
that?
They do.
I mean,
They
like,
do.
do you go to your doctor and when he's providing a service for you, a treatment for whatever's ailing you, do you say, "Now I know you're gonna give me the hookup, right?" So, like,
Yeah.
so I think that the fact that you're a trained professional in what you do, it's not like
Mhm.
you're just opening up, the back of a truck and hauling out an event. You are a trained professional executing this. You need to be paid as a trained professional. So
Yeah.
that's
And that
yeah,
mindset starts with the business owner, though.
it
Um,
does.
yeah,
Does.
they have to be confident enough in themselves, and they have to get over once they know they're running a business and it's no longer just something that they love to do. They kind
Uh-huh.
of have to get over taking any sale just to post pictures of the sale.
Right.
They have to get over saying yes to every um, party or every client or every event
Mhm.
just to say I did that party, especially if it's not beneficial to your brand or it's not making you a profit.
Right. Because if you're not making money, it's a hobby. And so
That's
we need to
correct.
decide,
No.
is this a hobby or is this a business?
And if they do that too long, the IRS will tell them for them that this is just
Right.
a hobby.
Right.
If you don't
Right.
figure it out fast enough, the IRS will tell you this is a hobby. This is not a business.
So stop
Yeah.
charging for it. Like just,
Yeah.
just go do it. So yeah, so I just
Yeah.
think that that's just absolutely paramount that you price what you need to price. But it's hard because, I know when we first started out, I didn't charge what I was supposed to be charging.
I didn't either.
And and then at the end of your event, I'm sure you look back with all the work you did and said, like, I didn't make any money here.
Another thing that has helped me out is starting out, all of my mentors were men,
Mm,
and men have zero sympathy
none.
and zero patience. They don't care that you're a mother. They don't care that you're, they don't care. And one of the things my mentor told me when I opened up the Silver Center, and I was just like, it's going so well. I'm so excited. I'm almost sold out of rooms already, like of dates already. And they
Mm,
were like, sold out? You just opened 3 months ago. And I'm like, that's amazing. They're like, no, if you're already sold out, what are you going to sell when you like, that's the end of your money.
yeah,
Like you have nothing else to sell if you sold out. He said, and if you're sold out that fast, that means you're not charging enough.
yeah,
If everybody can afford it, then
that's true.
I was just like,
And here's the thing I'm gonna say to you, and I don't know if this is, I'm gonna say this, ask you this, if people have said this to you,
mm-hmm,
people have come up to me and said, Denise, I would really love to hire you to work with me, but I can't afford you. That's not my
mm-hmm,
problem. That sounds so cocky, but I'm not for everybody.
yep.
I have to charge what I charge because of what I provide. How do you respond to that? Or what does that make you think when people say that to you? I can't afford you.
I say thank you. I say, oh, thank you.
Right?
I say, well, it's on a scale, so maybe you can afford me. You're just unaware. I mean, and sometimes that is the case. A
Mhm.
lot of people think that I'm $1 million.
Right.
And depending on the event, maybe it is. If you ask me for $1 million worth of stuff,
Mhm.
however, it doesn't have to be that way. Now, I
Mhm.
do set limits to myself, like
Mhm.
especially offsite. If you want me to come away from the Silver Center and do an event, I'm not going to come over there for $400. So
Mhm.
there's a minimum. Um, but I feel like you pay for what you want, and
Mhm.
if you want it nice, call me back. If you
Mhm.
want to go to Party City, then you're right. You can't. I
Mhm.
cost too much,
Mhm. Mhm. So I just think that's interesting when people say that. I'm like, well,
and they do.
and I often tell people, well, like you, like I don't know, but a conversation is free. So I'm happy to have a conversation with you, and then we can
Yep.
determine, we can effort that out. And if it turns out
Yep.
that I'm not, your cup of tea, I can refer
Hmm.
you to someone that would be of quality that can help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
one thing I think we as minority businesses do is we do try and share love with one another.
We try.
We try. We're not as successful as it sometimes as we should be, but we do try.
Nope. Yeah. We are a very um, competition over
Yeah,
collaboration community, and it's unfortunate.
it is because I have found that my white peers are very quick to collaborate with me.
Yep.
They're very quick, and not just because I'm black, it's because I'm good.
Hmm.
Whereas some of my black peers, I don't get that same.
Don't
But
matter how good you are.
some I do, but some I don't.
Yeah.
But I'm a big believer in collaboration, and I'm a big
Hmm.
believer in sharing the love. I just think that's so
Yeah.
important, so
Yeah.
important. So,
Yep.
let me ask you, what do you think? How do you see the landscape changing for us in the next couple of years? What do you think is on the horizon for us as Black business owners as we continue to evolve and there's more of us entering this world of entrepreneurship?
That's a loaded question.
Mhm.
Um, because there's things that I want to say, and I don't really know if they answer the question or not. But the very first two things that come to mind is A, it's going to be very dependent on who's the next president.
Mhm. That's fair.
Yeah, it's gonna depend heavily on that. And second thing is, um, I don't know if this is a Black people thing
Mhm.
or an Indianapolis thing.
Mhm.
Um, um, we tend to oversaturate
Mm.
certain industries.
Mhm.
And what that ends up doing is hurting the entire industry.
Give me an
Um,
example.
Event centers.
Mm.
Right now, I feel like there's so many that the purpose of them is now watered down.
Mm.
Um, when I started, there weren't very many Black owned event centers. There weren't
Mhm.
very many large event centers that weren't downtown.
Mhm.
And now they are everywhere.
Mhm.
And there's so many that just charge whatever they want to charge as if it's a hobby.
Mhm.
And they're miseducating the industry, they're misrepresenting and miseducating the audience. And
Mhm.
so it makes it very hard for the entire industry to grow or be
Mhm.
successful or be profitable. Um, and so I'm not real sure where this is going to take us. And, I've seen this happen once before with the Silver Center. I'm only speaking from my industry.
Mhm.
And I was able to just weather the storm like a
Mhm.
couple of years. It went down because everybody thought they needed an event center. And then, of course,
Mhm.
they closed in a year or two. And now everybody
Mhm.
needs the Silver Center. So I've gone through
Mhm.
all of these different waves. But on top of there being so many different, like there's literally, I think, 7 event places within walking distance of me right now.
Oh,
One,
wow.
two,
That
three,
many.
four, five, six,
Wow.
seven. within walking distance of me. It's insane. Okay, every
Wow.
Saturday I have to have a guard at the front just to ensure that you're here for the right party because everything says Washington Street. They at the wrong place. Like it's
Wow.
crazy.
I did not know that. I
Yeah,
did not
and
know that.
so couple that with this recession that we're in,
Mhm.
couple that with um, my building was just recently sold, so I have brand new landlords that don't care for women or black people, and they're making it very hard with their changes. So couple it with that,
Mhm.
you know. So it's just like this is
Mhm.
a sign from God that I asked for, that I have done everything that I can do here
Mhm.
where I'm at.
Right. So, well, that leads me to another thing that I wanted to talk about, and, I shared this with you as we were getting ready for this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Transition. I always tell business owners, we're always really quick to put together our going into business plan, but we
Mm-hmm.
never spend a lot of time focusing on what's going to happen when I wake up one morning and I don't want to do this anymore, or what's going
Mm-hmm.
to happen when I wake up one morning and there are so many barriers now that I'm having to surmount before I even get to the front door, that I need to
Mm-hmm.
decide, what am I going to do next? And so you've started thinking about transition. And so I would
Oh
love
yes.
for you to share a few, your plans, if you would, and a few pearls of wisdom as well.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. This
That's okay.
phone, I'm trying to make it stop ringing.
It's
um,
okay.
so transition. Well, first I had a feeling maybe a couple years ago, and I fought it. I'm like, it's just that business on a roller coaster. Let me just pray on it and
Mhm.
get some rest. And maybe I'm getting burnt out. Maybe I need to
Mhm.
rejuvenate. Maybe, and then it didn't go away.
Mhm.
And then another year went by, and I'm like, I need to do something else. And
Mhm.
everyone else is like, no, no, we need the Silver Center. No, please. And I'm like, okay, let me fight through this again. And so finally, um, sometimes God will close the door for you if you
Mhm.
don't do it. If
Yeah.
that's what's meant to happen, He'll do
Yeah.
it for you because either you're not strong enough to make the decision or you're passing by all the signs. And
Mhm.
this time, are you there?
I'm here. So we can hear you, but not see you quite yet. Oh,
Are we here?
we're here.
My
It's
goodness.
okay. I can edit it out. Don't
so,
worry about it. It's all good.
so speaking of transition, that's another reason. Like, I am so excited to have my life back. Oh my gosh,
Mm.
I
Mhm.
can't wait. Um, so I've been working on an exit plan. Of course, the front of that is what's on the surface, the physical of the preparing my clients, preparing the city to let them know because I'm still getting all these inquiries in for next year. Um, Preparing, just the move out alone is 1 million steps. This place is 30,000 square feet, so I have to have a warehouse for my things. It took 2 semis to move me in, so I know it's probably 5 semis now to move me out.
Mhm.
And preparing the legal, preparing the taxes, preparing the everything. So all that on the surface transition stuff is what I've been working on here recently. Mentally, um, it's a little scary. It's a little scary thinking, making sure I'm making the right decision.
Mhm.
Um, and hear me?
We can now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Oh, now you're
Gosh.
black.
Yeah, I know my lights are on a
Oh, the
motion.
thingy. Yeah.
Yeah. So my goodness. All right.
Well done.
I don't even remember what now
Just
about
take a
transition.
beat. Take a beat and just take a beat and just give me your transition plan, like what you plan to do. You talked about the semis. You talked
Yes.
about, to get you in, take 5 to get you out, the legal, the taxes. And so as you transition, like just take us like what's next.
So I'm going to continue to do event design. I'm just going to do offsite only. I'm going to move from my warehouse to whatever location, venue, home where I'm hired to do design. That's how
Hmm.
I started before I had a venue anyway.
Hmm.
Um, I'm going to move into that. I'm also going to move into event rentals. So I have so much stuff. What I've learned from one of my mentors is the way you combat an oversaturated market is you supply the supplier. And so everybody's an event planner now. Everybody's an event designer. Everybody's a venue owner. I'm going to give them what they need, and so I'm going to supply those tables and chairs and props and linen and all these things that every event designer needs anyway. Um, so that's going to be a huge thing. I've got tons of, I'm moving into, as a part of the event rentals. My niche has always been luxury kid events.
Mm.
And so that's always been my favorite. It's always been what I'm most proud of doing. And so I have so much inventory. Just for that alone, I'm kind of going to make that a separate entity under my umbrella. So I definitely have a plan.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I truly, truly appreciate you sharing
Mhm.
that. And I'm
Oh,
happy
yes.
for you. I'm excited for you for
Thank
what's
you.
next. Because
I am too.
but
I am too.
you did what I always say that business owners have to do. You have to be able to Gumby yourself. Like, how can you
Hmm.
morph yourself to do other things? You don't have to stay on this one trajectory for the entire duration of your
No.
journey. Like, you just don't. You can do other things, and I think that's what
Yes.
that keeps the fire burning.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
I'm so excited.
I am too. Well, please keep us posted. And we want to maybe have you come back and talk
Hmm.
about next year and talk about your journey and how it's been as you've transitioned into this new vision, this new version of your business, which is really
Yes,
cool.
ma'am.
So,
Yeah.
well, all righty. Any final words you'd like to share with our viewers and listeners?
Um, a lot of the memes and sayings and people post all over social media, it gets downplayed because it is just a meme, but some of them really hold meaning. And there's one that holds the most meaning to me. And they say to keep going because you never lose until you quit.
Hmm.
And so you can't lose if you don't quit.
Right.
Me closing the Silver Center isn't quitting. It is definitely a transition. Um, but when you decide that you just don't want to do it anymore and I give up, then you lost.
Mm-hmm.
But I, for one, have seen things get so bad in business. If you hang on, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, even if you created that light yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just keep going and stay on the path that you there's more than one way to skin a cat. You don't have to continue doing it the exact same way to
True.
get to the final destination.
True. That is very true. Very
Yep.
true. And the way you thought you were going to get there, if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, you'll find that you'll take on a completely different journey.
Yes, you will. Yep.
And I think the other thing I'll say is that even if it's hard and you feel as though you have failed, you really haven't because you're
Mm-hmm.
learning something along the way.
Yep.
So there's really never
Yeah.
there's no such thing as failure, and you haven't failed, and you're right. Unless you quit,
Mm-hmm.
you're good, no matter what.
Yep.
So thank
And
you
it's
for
supposed to be hard.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, if it were easy, everybody would
Mhm.
everybody would do it.
Let's do it. That's
Yeah.
very true.
Yep.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I truly,
Thank you for
truly
having me.
appreciate it. And it was good to have I've not really had a conversation with you Like,
I know.
so this has been really nice. I'm really
Yeah.
glad that we had this time together
Yes.
because like I said, I watch from afar, and then I just and I think it's really cool to see how you've scaled and now how you're going to even move to another level. So I wish you nothing but the best. I
Thank
truly
you
do.
so much.
You're
I
welcome.
really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Miss Denise.
You're
And
welcome.
I love your show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for watching this episode of How They See Us, where, as you saw, there's a lot of highs and lows and ups and downs and twists and turns with being a Black business owner. But I know I would never trade it for the world. I think it's my calling, my journey, and I'm so happy to sit with a group of people that have made this decision to pursue their entrepreneurial dreams. So, thank you for watching this episode of How They See Us. And I look forward to seeing you in future episodes. And like I said again, thank you for watching us. Thank you, Chesia, for joining us. And make sure you follow her on social media and watch her journey as she progresses. Have a great day.